Okay, welcome back, baseball fans. Early in the morning here in Pittsburgh, and I just felt like doing a video just about my setup for my Steroid Era project I do with APBA Baseball Master Game. I'm playing a lot of games of this lifelong project I set forth. I'm going trying to replay every season of Major League Baseball from 1987 through 2003. So I've got quite a few full leagues replays in there, so about 6 or 7 of them. But this morning, right now we're in June of 1993 in the American League. So we made it all the way up to June, and this is replaying every single game of the American League of 1993. So what I wanted to do was just kind of show what I do when I set up a game and get rolling here, and maybe even roll some of this game. So the next game on the calendar is what first place versus second place matchup between the White Sox and the Royals. So the White Sox are 42-14, Royals are 32-25. So what I do, since ball stats kind of the games start meshing together if all you're doing is rolling games and entering on this and not writing anything down. Like writing stuff down, it's like in college, how you would write things down, take notes to try to remember things. It's the same with this stuff, I think, because I kind of like lose track of like what happened in previous games, if I don't like write something down. So when I do these replays, I have this little sheet of paper I do for each series block. And what I do is I write the standings up going into that block. And then on the left side, I put like who the teams are playing. And then over here, I jot down any highlights after the game. So in this one, for example, like the Tigers pitcher, John Doherty, pitched a good game. This game, Cecil Fielder hit 2 home runs. This game, Fielder and Joe Carter hit home runs, and Mike Henneman had a tough 2-inning save. So I write these down, so not necessarily just to have this as a souvenir, but I post this replay on the Delphi board. So when I go back on the Delphi, I kind of know what happened. Plus, looking back, this helps me get a little more immersed into the replay by writing something down. So up here you can see also I need a sheet of paper with ball stat because I use ballpark effects, so I have to have somewhere to write that down. So actually write their ballpark effects for that particular series up here. So I'm going to set this up now. After the game, what I do also is I use this schedule you get from APBA. I know it's on a retro sheet, baseball route, and all that stuff, but I like to use this paper score sheet APBA sells. And what I do is I write the score of the game in, and then I highlight it with a pink just to show that game's completed. So right now you can see we're on June 10th. And I always play the division leaders first in the series block so the other teams know what they have to do to try to catch up to them. So I already played the Toronto-Detroit series for this block. That was the first one. So now I'm going to write over to the Chicago series. So they're going to play 3 games against the Royals in Kansas City. And the first thing I noticed was it's a really good matchup in the first game, which kind of piqued my interest to put this video together. So it's like Jack McDowell versus David Cone at KC, with KC trailing the first place White Sox by 10.5 games. So Kansas City really has to like get a sweep here in this series to kind of stay relevant, so Chicago doesn't totally run away from everybody. So so what I do next here is I'm going to put my laptop back here, and we'll show. So I get the cards out, and I got Chicago in here. And what I do is the beginning of the season, I jot down in the back of the envelope the trades. So for example, like Ivan Calderon is he's going to have 213 at bats with Boston, but then he's going to come to the White Sox for 26 later on. So they could see, and then teams that get shipped out of Chicago are like Bobby Thigpen after 35 innings. He's going to go to Philadelphia. Don Paul's going to get traded to Philadelphia later. So, and I also write down any injuries or any notes to myself as to how to move players around during a year or during the month right here. So pull the cards out, and I have like them broken up into some front and back. So one set of these cards is the current active roster, like the 25-man roster, and the rest of these guys are the backups. These are, because this set cards every player. So I put them back in the envelope because I'm not going to use them in this game. This is a 25-man roster, if you want to say that, or like at the stadium. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get Jack McDowell out of here. Okay, so he's a BYZ. Now I'm playing a master game, so he'll be a 13YZ. He's got a good move to first rating. I'll put that right there. I'm going to do the same for KC. So see, KC also has their writing on the back. They're traded players. So you can see they're going to get Stan Belinda later, John Habian. So they're actually competing in this season. They're a decent team. It's not like they're like a crummy Royals team. So they think they could possibly win this division. You could see they're going to get Greg Cattery. So they're going to get some help here. Gary Gaetti's just came over from California. So they're aspiring to win this division, these Royals. So it's kind of a cool season because it's like George Brett's last season, which you'll see in a second. So, all right. So this is the that's the 25-man active. So let's go get David Cone to the front. Just like 90% over this cold here. So if you hear me nasally and stuff, that's what it is. All right. All right, so put that aside. Now what I do is I then get my master game book over here, and I set this up. I'm going to set this up over to the left of me. You can't see it, but I prop it up against the lamp to so it kind of is like looks like this when I'm playing. And I always keep it up to the runner on first page because their base is empty. Pretty much any long-time APBA player kind of has that board memorized. So I just keep up the runner on first because that's usually when I have to start doing it, looking up results. So next, I'm going to get the board out. So I mean, you don't have to use this board, but I think I kind of like it to deaden the dice rolls. Because I'm not going to use a dice tray for this video. Okay. Then I'm going to get the actual sheets out. So let's go. Hey, this is kind of a cool White Sox month. I like this. Steve Sachs he's playing left field, one of his final seasons for the White Sox. He's leading off. It's kind of fun. Man, that Starbucks coffee is so good. I hope you guys get the Starbucks. There's a flavor of theirs called Morning Joe. I flavor it with hazelnut creamer, and it tastes like a combination like hot chocolate and like very good coffee every morning. It just just gives you gets that little plus to your day. Starts your day off on a good note. Starbucks Morning Joe. Okay, so let's go. That's the name of the game, name of the flavor. So let's get the Royals out here. Brian McRae's having a good season in this replay. We'll see in a moment once we start rolling. Okay, so now this is where ball stat really shines. So what I'm going to do, now you're not going to see it here. I'm going to set the game. So right now I'm at the ball stats score blank scoreboard page, ball score. So you can get this done pretty fast. So I'm going to go League Manager, load roster. I have my White Sox file. I'm going to pull the Chicago White Sox. I'm going to go load lineup. I'm going to pick my lineup I have for that month. I'm going to remove this. They always put a pitcher, even no matter what, into that on the bottom of the lineup. May or may not be the starter for that day, so I always remove him. And let's go remove player from lineup. I'm going to put Jack McDowell in there. Jack McDowell. I've entered the master game ratings into ball stat for this. Okay, so White Sox lineup's complete. So think of that like handwriting a White Sox lineup. You know, that's where you can see like how long it took me to just do that. We're already on the Royals lineup right now. You could actually probably even do this faster if you use the LUFs, the lineup files from RetroSheet, and put them into your ball stat, where it automatically throws in that day's has played lineup, and that is really fast. I do have one or two projects going on just to play around with that, so it's really neat, because then you could see how the lineups change day to day if you're doing has played. This is not has played. This is probably more like a sim, since I create my own lineups. So let's go to the Royals. So here's what we're going to do the Royals. So I'm going to go roster lineup manager, load roster. I'm going to go AL. I'm going to get Kansas City. I'm going to go load lineup. I'm going to take off the picture that they put on there. Remove player. Then I'm going to put David Cone on there. David Cone is a BXW, Master Game Grade 14. So David Cone starting. Okay, green. And I'm going to set the date at the bottom there. So this game is Friday, June 11th. Okay, and I'm going to press 4 just so I can get the I really like to show this to you guys. So I'm going to go like this. So one of the coolest things about ball stat with the master game is you have to constantly look at these ratings throughout the game, and similar like Digital Diamond, where you know, you could enter the ratings. So I took the time before I started this project, this replay, to enter you can see I got the fielding ratings, arm ratings, speed. So I got the pitcher's grade even on there. So this is White Sox at KC. So I'll put KC's up there. So this is the starters coming out in the field. So the Royals will defensively. We got Brent Maine behind the plate, David Cone pitching. First, second, third, you got Wally Joyner, Jose Lean, Gary Gaetti, Greg Agnew. Outfield left to right. We're going to have Harvey Pulliam, Brian McRae, Felix Jose, and George Brett's the DH. And then your White Sox lineup is going to read Steve Sachs, Joey Cora, Frank Thomas, Alice Burks, Robin Ventura, George Bell, Ron Karkovice, Dan Pasqua, and Ozzie Guillen. So, and the reason I use these sheets, not only I roll left-handed, so it's kind of hard to handle cards and write scores because I write right-handed, but I roll left-handed. So I put the cards in these sheets, so if there's any other ratings I need to reference, I just simply like flip up and just look at the cards instead of like looking through a stack of cards, or even worse, like the really old school ways, like if you would like write all these master symbols on a paper every game. I mean, you would never get long projects done if you, I mean, you could do that, but you would never get long projects done by like writing these master symbols out every single game individually. So like I said, when you do these long-term replays, you have to like look for efficiencies and things and try to speed things up to get games moving along. Okay, so about to start play. I have to make one roll here first to get the ballpark effects for that game. So let's pull up the ballpark. So what I'm going to do is for the ballpark effects for Kansas City, and I know this is going to be a really, this is going to be a negative park. It's like Kauffman Stadium. You know, it's hard to hit home runs out of it. So I'm just going to get one die roll. It's a 6. So I go to the ballpark effects chart. Now this can get pretty confusing, so like you could look at later or just gloss over this, but here's how the ballpark effects work for APBA. I'm just do it real quick. So I rolled a 6. So first thing I have to do is get the home team's ballpark factor. So you always do the home team first, kind of like soccer. So Kansas City is a home team, and you see these two columns. One is if I rolled a 1, it was -6. If I rolled a 2 to 6, it would be a -5. So since I rolled a 6, Kansas City's ballpark effect factor is -5. So I'm going to write that on my little sheet, if you remember I showed you. Alright, so then I take that same 6 roll. I'm not going to roll again, but just take that 6, and I'm going to go all the way across here and go to the park visitor factor. Because then there's 2 numbers I have to add together to get the White Sox ballpark effect. So for the visitors that come into Kansas City, if I rolled a 6, they're going to be a -10 for that game. Okay, so just remember that -10. Then I'm going to take that same 6 roll, like I said, I'm not rolling again. I'm going to go to the White Sox line to get what they are on the road. So there, if I rolled a 6, there's 0. So what I do is I add -10 and 0 together, and that stays at -10. So you can see the White Sox are going to be -10 for that game. So what that means is if you hit a home run, you reference this chart here. So this is going to be White Sox. So if the White Sox hit a home run, I have to find 10 under this flyout area. And I'd have to roll again. And if I rolled a 24 or less, that home run is going to get turned into one of these flyouts right here. And same for the White Sox, or for the Royals, they're -5. So if the Royals hit a home run, we have to re-roll to see if the home run stays. And if they rolled a 15 or less, that home run gets turned into one of these flyouts, like 32, 31, 31. So it's kind of fun because the ballpark has the final say on these home runs. So you know, Kauffman Stadium is notorious for being cavernous. I guess at this time, and these park factors change year to year. So you see, this is the 93, but every year they have different factors based on how many home runs were hit in that year. So, so we know the White Sox are -10. Like I said, another nice thing about this ball stat is it automatically adds up all that fielding for me. So I'm just going to start rolling here, see how far we can get, and show you how fast this ball stat is too. So Steve Sachs, I'm going to try to get the rolls. See the cards here. Let's see. Okay, do this. All right, look a little bit better here. Okay, let's roll -10. Steve Sachs. 1430 is a flyout. So I press Z, the letter O, and I press 7, flyout, 1 out. Joey Cora. 56 is a 34. That's a pop to short. Frank Thomas. He's batting .412 with 21 home runs, 233 at bats. 26-32 fly to right. Okay, so we go like that. That's how fast you switch it over. Ball stat automatically changes the score sheet over. So we got Brian McRae. Brian McRae's batting .325, 10 home runs, 240 at bats. 43-29. That's a grounder to pitcher. 1 down. Harvey Pulliam. 35 is a 40. That's going to be possible way to play. 21-40. That's going to be a re-roll. Like strike 1, ball 1, something like that. Harvey Pulliam, 54-32, fly to right. George Brett, he's not having a good year. He's like his last year, 244, 8 home runs, 221 bats. 34, 31, fly to center. Okay, top of the second. Okay, leading off, we got Burks, Ventura, Bell. So this confuses me, this team, because it's got a mix of like old Blue Jays, old Dodgers, old Red Sox, and it's like I don't know who I'm playing with these guys. But Ellis Burks, old Red Sox, 30. He's having a really good year. 306, 15 home runs. He rolls a 35-14. That's a walk. Ellis Burks got a steal rating of C16, so he's not going to go. Robin Ventura, 65, 35. Cohn's got a W, so he's going to walk him. First and second. George Bell is really doesn't have a good card. Batted 217, 13 home runs on the year. But in this project, he's batting 295 and 7 home runs, 122 at bats. So he's got some ducks on the pond. This is George, one of his last years too, if not the last year. 62-32, fly to right. Now, I could roll again right now to try to see, if Burks can tag up, what kind of how deep that is. But I know Felix Jose's got a 36 arm, and I'm not going to make the first out at third base. I'm not even going to roll for that because I don't really care what fielding it is because Burks is not going to go. So that's another thing to speed up Master Game. Like, don't roll unnecessarily when you're not. Make your decision and determine if you have to roll or not. Sometimes you can't do that though. So wrong character device, first and second from Union, New Jersey. 24-13, strike 3, you're out. Okay, Danny Pasqua. Oh my goodness, he's not having a good start to the year. 087, 23 at bats. 55 is a 9. Burks has a 9 on a Okay, so Cohn's a righty, and he's adding 2 to righties. So it's 9 on a 16. He's a left-handed batter. So that's going to be a base hit left field. Actually, base hit right field. One runner scores out of the third. Okay, so Ellis Burks scored. Robin Ventura goes to third base. So first and third, 2 outs, 1-0 White Sox. Ozzie Guillen, 24-29. Let's see. So Cohn is an X. I know that's going to be the last out of the inning. Let's see if he strikes him out. No, it's just a grounder to pitcher. Okay, back to the bottom of the second. Wally Joyner. 36-14. That's a walk. Blackjack McDowell. Gary Gaetti. 24-13. It's a strikeout. Felix Jose. 13-40. Could be something weird here. 13-40 to the team fielding. So team fielding for the White Sox is 41. That's a fielding 1 play for the team. That's a wild pitch possibly. Is he a wild pitch 3? Let's see. He is not. So that means it's a rare play. So let's go to the rare play boards. A runner on first. See what rare play we get. 51-40. Rare play number 4. So that's going to go to the center field's defense. Center fielder is Ellis Burks. He's a 3. Oh, 60s. That's not a good roll of defense. Fielding 3 play for Burks. So here's what happens. Single to center. Runner scores and batter to second on error on a center fielder. So it's a single and an error. He scores. Second error.